What's up, everybody? This is your boy Uber Hikari, aka the Nerd Nigga, here to bring you another video with no frills, just the analysis. Alright, so this video is going to be a response to my man jzone, who did a video on top tier versus OP. I basically agree with everything that Jay said in that video, but I'm just going to add a couple of more things that I don't think he got an opportunity to touch on. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way in which people use that word OP incorrectly. Generally, when people use that word, they mean one of three things. The first thing that they mean is that these characters or the people in the manga or anime are extremely powerful. But like J-Man pointed out, even if there are a lot of extremely powerful people, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're OP. It just means that they're top tier. So you can have a lot of extremely powerful characters inside of anime or manga, but just because they're extremely powerful, that does not make them OP. The second thing that people generally mean when they use that term OP incorrectly is they mean it negatively. They mean that a character is too powerful. But I don't think that being OP is necessarily a bad thing for a character. So take for example Father from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He's OP to be sure, but he's also a very psychologically complex and I would even say ethically complex character. So it doesn't get in the way. So even though he's OP, the fact that he's OP does not get in the way of his characterization, and it does not get in the way of his complexity and his importance in terms of the overall story within the manga or within the anime. You could also look at a character like Frieza, for example. Up until the Namek arc, Frieza was clearly, I mean, as far as we knew, the most powerful being, not just on Earth, but in the entire known universe. An extremely OP character, probably the archetype or the stereotype for an OP character. Frieza was not complex, but Frieza was important for the storyline because Frieza represented an important obstacle for the protagonist and represented an extremely important challenge to the ethics of the protagonist, that is Goku, insofar as even though Goku realized how strong and how powerful Frieza was, he was still reluctant to kill Frieza. So Frieza, even though Frieza was an OP character, that doesn't mean that it was necessarily a bad thing. So OP doesn't necessarily. So even though people use the term OP as something that's negative, being OP doesn't necessarily mean that the story is bad or that the character who is OP is bad either. The third thing that people generally mean when they use the term OP incorrectly is they believe that it's not reasonable for a character to have so much power or to have the amount of power that they do. A popular example of this might be somebody like Sasuke. People always complain that Kishimoto shows favoritism towards Sasuke, and Sasuke is so powerful and so OP. No. Even I don't care really if Kishimoto shows favoritism to Sasuke or not, but clearly within the universe of Naruto, Sasuke is not OP. I mean, Sasuke is pretty powerful, but Sasuke is not OP. Now, it may also be the case that the amount of power he has is unreasonable for him to possess, but that doesn't make him OP. It just means that he just has a lot of unjustified power. So maybe he didn't train as hard as Naruto, or maybe there aren't very good explanations for why he's so powerful. But just because he's very powerful or extremely powerful, that does not mean that he's OP. There are a lot of characters that are stronger than Sasuke, and that Sasuke will get absolutely owned by within that universe. So I mean, just because someone has a lot of power that they don't that there's no good explanation for them having, doesn't mean that they're OP. So those are the basic three ways that people misuse that label OP. Um, Also, OP is a relative term. It's a variable term. That means, in other words, OP is a label that's likely to change as the story progresses throughout the manga or throughout the anime. So think of Frieza, for example. Frieza is the perfect example of this of OP being a relative term and not an absolute term. Okay, so when we get to the Namek arc, Frieza is basically engaging in intergalactic imperialism. He's going throughout the galaxy, not even a galaxy, but it looks like throughout the universe, going from planet to planet, destroying planets, taking over planets, using other races of people as basically slaves. So by the time that Frieza fights Goku, he's able to destroy not Manic, Namek. He's able to destroy Namek as well as basically whole galaxies if he wanted to, once he gets to 100% of his power. But after the Namek arc, Frieza comes back. Remember, Frieza comes back and he's got, a new body or whatever, and and he runs up against future Trunks. I know a lot of people were surprised when this happened. I know when I saw this, I was like, oh shit, Frieza's back. We're gonna have to do this over again. Nope. Future Trunks sliced and diced Frieza's ass up into little pieces, blew his ass away. So basically, what this shows is that OP is a relative term. At one point in the storyline, a character might be OP, but as the story progresses further and further, and as the protagonist gets stronger and stronger, we might learn that this character, not only is this character not that powerful anymore, but that this character might actually be weak relative to the new characters that are introduced in the storyline. Another antagonist that's like this is Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho. Toguro is clearly an OP character. I mean, for most of the fight, the second fight between Toguro and Yusuke, Toguro wasn't even using his maximum power. He only used his maximum power for like a small section, that last section of that fight, when he, really got all those fucking crazy ass muscles. But remember when the first fight between, well, not the first fight, but the second introduction between Toguro and Yusuke, where Toguro comes to invite Yusuke to the Dark Tournament. And in order to basically coerce him into joining the Dark Tournament, Toguro basically goes crazy and destroys a whole fucking building. At that point, it's clear that within this manga, up to this point, Toguro is going to be the most powerful character that we know, and he's clearly OP. Because remember, when he's become so powerful in the arena that he starts absorbing the souls of all the demons and shit. So Toguro is clearly an OP character. But after the Dark Tournament saga, we find out that Toguro is actually not that powerful relative to a lot of other demons. We find out that he's a B plus class demon, I believe. And not only is there an A class of demons, but there's also an S class of demons. So not only do we find out that Toguro is not OP, we also find out that he's relatively weak. So yeah, that's another example of that. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is what I'll call God status. To me, God status is like a step beyond OP, because OP, like I said, is a relative term. So God status to me is about absolute power. OP is about relative power, which can change depending on the progression of the story in the manga or anime. And God status is about absolute power. And to me, God status means that a character is as powerful as they can possibly be, given what we know about the rules and the laws that govern the universe that they inhabit. No, that's probably a mouthful. But basically, this person is as strong as they could possibly be in that universe that they inhabit. So if we think about Aizen, for example, to me, Aizen is not an OP character. To me, Aizen has like obtained God status. He's fused with the Hogyoku, which basically gives him an infinite amount of regenerative ability. So unless there's like some move that would destroy him, like the way Gohan destroyed Cell, to make sure that there's nothing left to regenerate, then Aizen is immortal. He can't be killed, and he technically can't be defeated. So even though there's this a lot of stuff in this manga about how Ichigo is a being from a fifth dimension or some other crap like that, even though it's clear that Ichigo is stronger than Aizen and that he's owning Aizen, Ichigo is an OP character because he's the only one in that manga that can fight on a even playing field with Aizen, but he can't beat Aizen because Aizen is has attained God status. He's as powerful as a being in Bleach could possibly be, at least up to this point that we know of, because he's combined both Shinigami powers with the powers of a Hollow by fusing with the Hogyoku. So he's as powerful as a being could possibly be. He's basically immortal, and there's no way that he can be defeated. But and as a side note, a lot of people were really thought that the fight between Ichigo and Aizen was sort of anticlimactic, but Kubo basically backed himself in a corner. Once you get to the point that you've made an antagonist impossible to kill by making them able to regenerate themselves and basically making them immortal, there's no other way to defeat that character except by either, well, basically by sealing their powers or sealing them away, which is exactly what happened to Aizen. Okay, so some other examples of a god status type character. Think of Father from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but by the end of that um, anime, he's as powerful as a being could possibly be. He's created basically, I mean, he's not even turned himself into a philosopher's stone anymore. He basically has the power of a god. I mean, he created a sun with his bare hands. I mean, he's a god status character. Given the laws and the rules that govern alchemy in that universe, he's as powerful as a being could possibly be. Another example is Omega Shinron from Dragon Ball Z GT. It takes a fucking spirit bomb from the entire universe to defeat Omega Shinron. I mean, even when Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta fused into Gogeta, they were owning him, but they still needed to create a freaking spirit bomb from the entire universe just to get rid of the guy. So I mean, besides Gogeta, he's basically as powerful as a being could possibly be. The perfect example of a god status character, if any of you are interested in sort of a classic older anime, think about Space Runaway Ideon and think about the giant robot Ideon. This motherfucker is basically a fucking god in that universe. He has the power to destroy the entire universe and the power to recreate the entire universe. So there is no being in that universe that's stronger than Ideon. He is as powerful as a being could possibly be in that universe. So Ideon is a fucking, god status character. Think about the Sage of the Six Paths from Naruto. Basically as powerful as a being could possibly be. He can use, I believe it's Edo Tensei. I might be wrong about this. I haven't really been, reading the manga up to date, but I believe it's Edo Tensei where he has the power to create matter and to destroy matter. I mean, at that point, he is as powerful as a being could possibly be within the confines of that universe. So that's basically it. People use the word OP incorrectly. OP is about relative power. Given the progression of the manga, and then I think that there's a level beyond OP, which is God status, which is as powerful as a being could possibly be, given the rules and the laws that govern that universe. This is your boy Uber Hikari, aka the nerd nigga. Just brought you another video with no frills, just the analysis. And shout out to my man jzone for the video he initially did. Peace and have a blessed day.